Your job postings may be doing the exact opposite of what you need them to do. In a world where bots can apply to thousands of jobs before your recruiter finishes their coffee, a standard job post is not a hiring tool. It's an invitation to get spammed. We have spent the last decades optimizing job postings for more volume, more reach, more clicks, more applications. Cool. It's now the same system is flooding your ATS with absolute garbage. So this episode is about making one simple change. Stop treating your job postings like mini legal documents and start treating them like commercials for a specific kind of work, or a specific kind of person, or for a specific reason. Because the goal is not more applications. The goal is fewer junk applications, more right fit candidates, and a hiring process that doesn't feel like your team is drowning in its own best practices. If you're sick of being treated like a cost center, if you're tired of hearing your CEO say, just hire faster, giving you zero leverage and no extra budget, if you've been trying to explain that employer brand is so much more strategic than just a pretty website, well, you're ready for the next revolution in talent and people. Welcome. I'm James Ellis, and this is Becoming Choosable. And together, we can grow your company from the hire up. Let's show leadership that recruiting, HR, employer brand driving businesses forward by turning people work into growth work. You ready? Well, let's see what the claw machine of destiny has for us today. Hey there, fellow people rebels. And according to the claw machine of destiny, we're going to talk about tactics. And today it's job postings. Here's the idea. Your standard job posting is completely outdated. I mean, completely. Not could use a little tune-up or maybe a little polish or a little freshening up of the language. I mean, structurally outdated. Remember, it was literally built for a hiring market where the hard part was getting enough people to see the job. That is not the market we're all in right now. Now the hard part is sorting the signal from the noise. The hardest part is getting the right people to lean in while everybody else, including all the robots and the bots, they move along. And if that's the market, then the standard job posting is an absolutely terrible tool for the job. Because the standard job posting is basically a directory listing. Title, a summary, 3 whole big buckets of bullets, a paragraph about how cool the company is, a paragraph about compliance, and a button. Every job looks like every other job. Friendly. See, if I were building an entire process or an agent to scrape every part of the internet for jobs and auto apply to everything remotely relevant, what would I want? I'd want consistency, repeatable structure, predictable fields, the same shape over and over and over and over again. And congratulations, gang, that is exactly what we built. We have built the perfect format for mass application spam. We've created a world where easy apply plus AI plus standardized job structures starts to look like a bunch of denial of service tax on our own ATSs. Not because candidates are evil, not because we're dumb, not because AI is bad, but because the system is optimized for the wrong outcome. We optimized for volume because volume used to feel like success. Now volume feels like tax. Now, before someone gets mad, I'm not saying every problem is solved by rewriting the job post. It's not magic fairy pixie dust, right? You still need better career site language, better recruiter outreach, better calibration with hiring managers, better screening, better everything. All across the board, we can all get better. But the job post is still one of the biggest levers you control. So let's use it like grown-ups. Now, before I get into this, I need to acknowledge 2 very smart people. These are people who know job postings infinitely better than I do. It is their focus of understanding of how to make better hiring happen. And that is Kat Kibben, obviously at 3 ears, and then you've got Mitch Sullivan. They know more about job postings than I ever will. This is simply an idea of how to think about job postings to make your job postings a little better. You want better writing, you want better thought, talk to them. They are the experts. All right. So here's what I think most people get wrong. They think that the job posting and the job descriptions are basically the same thing, and they are not. I feel like we belabor this point, but it feels necessary to make sure we are all on the same page. The job description is an internal document. It exists for clarity, compliance, consistency, and risk management. It is allowed to be boring. Frankly, it's supposed to be boring. That's kind of its job. Job posting is marketing. It exists to create understanding, attention, The job posting is a piece of marketing. It exists to create understanding, attention, self-selection, action. It should not sound like a compliance memo wearing a corporate hoodie. That confusion is where a lot of bad hiring starts because when you start to paste the job description into the ATS and call it a job posting, what are you really doing? You are telling the market, here is our generic list of expected tasks assembled by habit, written for nobody, differentiated from nothing, and formatted exactly like everybody else's. And then we wonder why we get a phone book's worth of applications from people who barely even read it. And of course, that's what happened. We made it really easy to scrape, easy to scan, easy to ignore, easy for mass application. So the fix starts here. Your job posting should focus less on the full inventory of work and more on the variance of this specific role. Not everything that is true about the role. I'm talking about what's distinct about the role. Not every baseline skill, but what makes this version of the role worth looking at again, worth choosing. I'm thinking about all the bullets in your job postings that are completely unnecessary. I'm not talking about the ones where it says requires a degree. That's a separate argument. I'm not getting into that. However, I'm talking about the ones where you talk about how they require someone who's organized, collaborative, comfortable with email. I mean, Jesus, that's called having a job, right? I don't think you need to explain that. If you're hiring a project manager, I, as the candidate, do not need 14 bullets that prove that you know what a project manager is. I need to know what kind of project manager you're looking for. Who's going to win? What kind of chaos are they going to walk into? What kind of authority will they have? What kind of trade offs will they face? What kind of ambition fits? What kind of person will hate it? That's the stuff a human being actually uses to decide. That's the stuff that generic apply everywhere systems are far less likely to interpret as well. So point one, the market has changed. Best practices built for 2014 are just screwing you over here in 2026. Back then, easier apply always meant more reach. And more reach meant more candidates. And more candidates meant more opportunity. Everybody liked more candidates up until the point where they got way too many. Now, easier apply means garbage. It means a flood. And that is not free. It costs recruiter time, it costs hiring manager attention, it costs speed, it costs candidate experience for people who actually want, it costs confidence in the process. And eventually, yes, it costs you the hire. Point two, standardization is making you easy to spam. Much, much too easy. The more every job post looks the same, the more it's easy to parse or scrape and sort and auto-respond to. I'm not saying weird arbitrary formatting alone is going to save you. I'm saying the assumption that every job must look like a standardized bulleted cemetery is no longer helping you. In fact, it's probably hurting you. A post with strong prose, clear trade-offs, specific outcomes, an unusual structure with fewer bullets, it does something important. It forces actual reading. And that alone is incredibly valuable because the right candidate usually can read. The wrong candidate, including the laziest spray and pray applicants, they don't bother. Point three, job posting should sell the difference, not restate the obvious. Let me make this plain. A garbage collection job does not need 10 bullets proving that there will be garbage. A project manager role does not need 6 bullets proving that projects exist or that you all know what a Gantt chart is. A sales role doesn't need to say must be comfortable using a CRM unless your actual point is something more specific, like you're going to inherit a messy territory and rebuild it from scratch. That would be legitimately interesting or useful. That's choosable. The posts should be answers to the questions of, why is this role worth doing here? Why is this role different here? Who thrives here? Who should absolutely not apply? And the last one matters, by the way. Trade-offs aren't rude. Trade-offs are respectful. They save everybody time. When you say, this is a project management role with actual voice in the room, not a checkbox role, you are not making the job smaller. You are making the right audience more likely to say, yes, please. And that's the job. That's what we're trying to achieve. Point four, shorter and sharper always beats fuller and safer. There's a story Marcus Body told me a long time ago. We were doing a podcast together called The Brand Plan. You should check it out. It's on YouTube. It's delightful. He's incredibly smart and his accent is great. Also, he's kind of funny. But he told me this story about he watched an executive write 2 bullet points for a job, pause, and then start adding some more. And when pressed, the exec said, well, 2 looked too small. And so I wanted to make it look like other job postings. And that's the disease right there. We think completeness equals quality, and it does not. A lot of the time, completeness just means nobody made a choice. Nobody prioritized. Nobody clarified. Nobody translated. Nobody asked what actually mattered. A tight post with a strong point of view can outperform a bloated post because it gives people something to react to. And reaction is incredibly useful. Confusion is not. The best job post is not one that says everything. It's the one that makes the right person think, oh, this is the one for me. That's the win. So how do you measure this? How do you know something like this kind of change would be working? Obviously, not by raw application volume. That metric is drunk. I don't know what it's doing. We got to stop handing it the keys. We got to measure different things instead. We got to measure qualified applicant rate. Of the people who apply, how many actually deserve a recruiter screen? Screen to interview conversion. Are more of the screen candidates making it through because the post set up better expectations up front? Interview to offer quality. Are hiring managers seeing better fit candidates faster? Time spent reviewing junk. Are recruiters spending less time digging through garbage to find something of value? Source efficiency. Are fewer boards or more targeted channels producing better candidates per dollar? Drop off with intent. I know, this is getting fun, right? Imagine if fewer people apply, but the people who do apply are stronger. That's not a loss. That's real win. That's real progress. One more thing. Look at alignment quality in intake conversation. Are the hiring managers saying, yes, that's exactly what I meant? Great, because a good job post doesn't just attract candidates, it forces internal clarity. And that alone can speed up the process. Obviously, when we make change, some reason we get a lot of pushback. So we better justify our ability to make these changes and what the scope and the impact is going to be. So prepare yourself. You're going to be challenged. So you got to talk about how you're not making the job harder to find. You're simply making the right job easier to recognize by the people you want to hire. You're not reducing application flow. You're improving applicant quality and reducing review waste. You're not being creative with copy. You're redesigning a top of the funnel conversion asset for different market conditions. This is how you influence people, make them understand that this work is not just make pretty pictures and pretty words, but being strategic and thoughtful. You're trying to achieve a goal. Remember, you're not removing requirements because standards don't matter. You are separating baseline qualifications from actual persuasion. So when you get pushback, you want to say stuff like, we don't need a longer list of applicants. We need a clear signal. So when you get pushback, you want to say things like, we don't need a longer list of bullets. We need a clear signal. Or the description can stay compliant. The posting needs to be compelling. Or to the CFO, we are spending recruiting labor to process preventable noise. Better job posts reduce that waste. CFOs love that. And to the CEO, if we want better hires faster, we need candidates who understand what's distinct here before they apply, not after 3 interviews. And to the CHRO, this is not copy change. This is self-selection strategy. That's the language you need to be using to make this change happen and to really show that this is thoughtful, considered, strategic. Business people fund things when they sound like business decisions, so make this a business decision. So what's one thing you want to change this week? Pick one, just one hard to fill role, and then rewrite it with some basic rules. 1, cut every obvious bullet that would be true in every other version of this role. Go ahead and do a Google search on those roles to see what everybody else is talking about and kind of use that as an elimination set. Replace generic summary with 3 short paragraphs. What a person's actually here to change, what makes this version of the job different, and who will love or hate the environment. And then add one honest trade-off. Not branding fluff, not fast-paced. I mean a real trade-off, like this role has a lot of autonomy and not much hand-holding. Or this is not the job for someone who wants every decision pre-approved. Or you'll need to earn trust with skeptical stakeholders before you get momentum. And then watch what happens. Not to volume, obviously, but to quality, because that's the game now. Forward this episode to the hiring manager who keeps asking for more applicants when what they really want is better ones. Remember, in an AI-flooded market, the safest looking job posting is often the most expensive one. Make the work legible, make the difference obvious, and grow your company from the higher up. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. This podcast is brought to you by Becoming Choosable, available at Amazon as a paperback or ebook. And by Employer Brand Labs. Make your priority roles choosable in 30 days, because you can't outspend them, but you can outclarify them.